Mr. Smith's life lesson. Mr. Smith was a business teacher. One morning, he walked into his classroom and greeted his students with a smile. He had an exciting lesson planned for his class that day. And he knew it was going to be a fun one. He was going to teach them the art of negotiation and compromise, two essential skills that every business person needs to have. "Good morning, class," he said, as he walked to the front of the room. "Today we're going to talk about negotiation and compromise. These skills are crucial in business, and I'm going to show you how to use them effectively." The class was buzzing with excitement. They knew Mr. Smith always had an interesting lesson planned, and they were eager to hear what he had in store for them that day. "Okay, let's get started. I'm going to split the class into two groups. One group will be the buyer, and the other group will be the seller. The buyer needs to negotiate to get the lowest price for a product, and the seller group needs to get as high a price as possible. The buying group has a highest price that they can pay, and the sellers have a lowest price they can accept. The two groups will have price ranges that overlap, so there is room to negotiate, but each side does not know the other side's range." The class was divided into two groups, and each group began to discuss their strategy. The buyers knew that they wanted to get the product for the lowest price possible, but they had to be careful not to offend the sellers. The sellers, on the other hand, wanted to get the most money possible for their product, but they also had to be reasonable in their pricing. The buyers started off with a low-ball offer, hoping that they could negotiate the sellers down to an even lower price. But the sellers were not willing to go as low as the buyers wanted. They knew the value of their product, and were not willing to let it go for too low of a price. The buyers realized that they needed to make a more reasonable offer, one that was hopefully within the range of the sellers' acceptable prices. They offered a price that was slightly higher than their initial offer, but still within their budget. The sellers countered with a price that was higher than the buyers wanted to pay, but lower than their original asking price. The buyers knew that they would have to compromise if they were going to be able to make a deal. They made a counteroffer that was slightly lower than the seller's asking price, but hopefully within their acceptable range. The sellers considered the offer, and realized that it was a fair price and within their acceptable price range, but felt they should still ask for a little more. After some more back-and-forth negotiations, both groups were able to reach a compromise. The buyers were able to buy at a price that was below their maximum, and the sellers were able to secure a price that was above their minimum. Both groups felt like they had gotten a good deal, and they were satisfied with the outcome. Mr. Smith looked at his class with a smile. "Good job, class. You've just learned a valuable lesson about negotiation and compromise. Both sides were able to get what was wanted, because you were willing to compromise. If you want to succeed in business, you need to be willing to compromise, and find a solution that works for both parties." The class nodded their heads in agreement. They had learned an important lesson that day, and they knew it would help them in their future careers. As the class came to an end, Mr. Smith reminded his students that negotiation and compromise were essential skills, not only in business, but also in life. Remember, compromise and negotiation are not about winning or losing. It's about finding a solution that works for both parties. If you can master these skills, you will be successful in any aspect of life. The students left the classroom feeling empowered and excited to put their newly acquired negotiation skills to the test. They knew that they had learned a valuable lesson that day, one that they would carry with them throughout their lives. In the end, Mr. Smith's lesson had a lasting impact on his students. They were able to use the skills they had learned in his class to succeed in their personal and professional lives. And as they continued to negotiate deals and compromise with others, they knew that they had Mr. Smith to thank for teaching them the skills that had made all the difference. If you enjoyed this story and would like to hear more inspiring stories like this, please like and subscribe.